This is Fallout 4 Hardcore mode, which essentially is survival mode. Survival mode removes fast travel, adds hunger and thirst, and drastically changes how much damage you can take, as well as how much damage you can put out, along with some other changes. Except the twist with Hardcore mode is that if I die, the playthrough is deleted. Wasting no time, I start my run.
War never changes.
I wanted to do something different this time, and I chose the female option for a change. I forgot to mention I'm also using a mod pack, which I'm completely clueless of the changes it makes. I just saw the photos and it looks vanilla plus the graphics look a bit prettier. But it also adds all these customization options, but this time I'm just going to stick with the default look. I also noticed this option in the body customization, which says clothes, which I can confirm isn't an option to change what the clothes you are wearing is, and it just removes all the clothes instead. After this, I confirmed my character and had to stay completely still for the next 5 minutes while all the mods deploy. Following this, I sat on my couch and began to nod off, and fell asleep for a quick moment. Next thing I knew, I opened my eyes and I saw a big bright blinding light, and I was 200 years in the future in a wasteland. I looked around and I saw the mess I knew I was going to have to clean, and just let off a shocked sigh. Next I made my way back down to the house, gathering all these resources along the way. Once closer to the house, I saw my robot butler, Codsworth, who filled me in all the details, such as that I had been frozen in an experimental vault for 200 years, my husband was killed, and my son Sean was kidnapped. He also gave me a heads up to go down to Concord to try to find some clues on where my kidnappers could be. I didn't want to rush headfirst into danger though, so I first wanted to set up a little base of operations. So using this workbench in my neighbour's garage, I've begun to go around scrapping resources and cleaning up the area a little bit, just so I could build a little base to call my home. Now that scrapping is done and I've got some resources, I can finally turn this house into my little workshop / home base. I want to extend it out a little bit and close it in, starting with these concrete foundations. I quickly realised I had nowhere near enough resources to keep building, so I went around scrapping and gathering some more junk so I could continue building. As I went to walk inside the house, a little radroach jumped out at me. So I quickly took care of him and got back to scrapping. At the end of this hallway there is a large piece of plywood which you cannot scrap, which is very strange. While scrapping this destroyed house I could hear a radroach, but I couldn't see the cheeky bugger. And there he is. Okay, now finally back to building. I want to expand the concrete all the way around. I wanted to try and do something involving this roller door, but it ends up causing a lot of struggle, not gonna lie. Okay, now for the walls. I wanted it to look like it was made from scraps, so I used a random assortment of wood walls. Okay, now to keep the weather out with some sheet metal roof. I had a little alignment issue which was giving me OCD, so I quickly fixed this. Now I spent around 5 to 10 minutes trying to get the garage door to work on both sides, but I was having too much struggles with it, so I ended up just scrapping it and going for a traditional entrance instead, which to be honest I think this looked better anyway. Looking back at it now, I've spent about an hour and a half playing and I have not slept in a bed yet, which means I haven't saved the game. And I'm very lucky considering I'm using a mod pack that the game had not crashed and I lose all this progress. As I was building, I ran out of wood with just 2 more stairs to build. That finishes construction of what I will call my home, and it also gave me a level up. I headed inside and placed a bed down, just so I could sleep through the night. And when I woke up, I was hungry and dehydrated, which adds a little stagger up to my AP. I opened up my Pip-Boy and hydrated myself with some purified water. I then headed back down to the start of Sanctuary and grabbed this cooking bench and moved it closer to my house. With all the mods, it added a lot of recipes, but I could cook some grilled radroach, which should do the job. Now that I'm properly fed, I grab this magazine off this bench. Then I headed into Sean's bedroom to grab the Your Special book and put the point into agility. I then used my level up from earlier and put it into gun nut. I then ran behind this blue house and entered the secret bunker, where I found a weapon, some ammo, and some other resources. Then I used my weapons workbench to add a hardened receiver on my 10mm pistol to boost the damage output. Now finally, it's time for my first adventure. First stop, Red Rocket. I found some grenades in this mailbox, then just across the bridge I found a corpse with some goodies. There was also this little duffel bag with some ammo in it. At Red Rocket, I'm greeted by man's best friend and my first companion, Dog
What
Meat.
are you doing out here all by yourself? You want to come with me, pal?
I then went inside the building and started looting some of the gas station. I then headed around back to go into the mole rat den to get the fusion core for the power armor in Concord. After dealing with the mole rats, I went around looting.
Perfect.
I found one more mole rat who felt like a legendary boss battle. After taking him out though, I had access to the safe.
Got it.
Heading back to Red Rocket, I found these 2 magazines on the bench and then begun to make my way back home. Once I dumped all the junk I gathered into the workbench, I used some of the junk to add a longer barrel on my pistol, as well as a quick eject magazine. After resting up, I started my journey towards Concord, which I was scared about because one bullet from a raider could end this whole run. I then had some target practice on these 2 little bugs, and excuse my aim, I'm a bit rusty. Heading into the city, I didn't want to go headfirst into combat as I would be extremely outnumbered and all it would take is one bullet to ruin my whole day. So instead I went around the side to try finding a vantage point. Fortunately, I found this ladder which I could use to get onto the roof. Once on the roof I did some parkour to get a good angle on the street below, which I then begun to pick some of the raiders off. I then hopped down to the ground to take out the last few remaining raiders from cover. I then looted the bodies. This is when Preston Garvey called out for help.
Hey, up here, on the balcony. I've got a group of settlers inside. The raiders are almost through the door. Grab that laser musket and help us, please!
And so I grabbed a laser musket and headed inside and begun the battle. I then quickly picklocked this door to grab the fusion core from the generator.
Yes.
Get the deal with. You hear that? I gotta go take a little walk, but I'll be. What? Man, I don't know who you are, but your timing's impeccable. Preston Garvey, Commonwealth Minuteman.
Preston then gave me a quick rundown of his plan. Used the power armor on the rooftop to rip the minigun off the crashed vertibird and clear out the remaining hostiles. And so that's exactly what I did.
Perfect. Yes. Hell yeah.
Up here. Boss, we got somebody up here. That fair's on a boat.
Once the enemies were dealt with, I headed back inside and let Preston know the coast was clear.
That was a pretty amazing display. I'm just glad you were on our side.
Him and Mama Murphy let me know that they will both be heading back to Sanctuary, along with the other two. I then made my way back to Sanctuary with the loot and my new power armor. I also made this little toolbox where I can store my excess weapons, armor and ammo. I then allocated my 2 levels, one into Rifleman and one into Life Giver. These both will give me a little edge in combat. After about an hour and a half of gameplay, I finally slept again and saved the game. When I woke up, I was dehydrated and hungry, as well as another little surprise. Preston then gave me his usual little speech about the Minutemen and how there is another settlement who will need my help. I then spoke to Sturgis, who gave me the orders to build some beds, water and food for the settlers. So, I got right into these orders. I first cleared the house across the street of all the rubbish and scrap, which will be used to house the beds for the settlers. I made sure to place plenty of beds so I could allow for the growth of the settlement if this playthrough lasts a long time. Next, I made a few water pumps to supply more than enough water. For the food situation, I headed down to a farm nearby who was friendly, and I harvested a good amount of potato plants.
Don't you worry, little darling. We'll be heading there soon. Meanwhile,
I then headed back and planted around 30 tato crops. Sturgis was also in need of some defences, so I built him a little turret and reported back.
It's been a long road. But yeah, I think this is it.
I was glad to help.
Well, I appreciate
I
it.
then went for a quick snooze to save my game, which then I was awoken to. I then begun my most dangerous journey so far, towards Diamond City, and I don't want the video to drag on too long, so I'll sum it up in a quick montage.
So what's your story? Looking to trade? Rob me? Or just ask directions to Diamond City?
Whoa, easy there, Hulk girl. This doesn't involve you.
What do you mean you can't open the gate? Stop playing around, Denny. I'm standing out in the open here, for crying out loud.
I headed straight to the dugout inn and bought a room to save the game and sleep through the night.
Excuse me.
Oh, customer. Need a room?
After speaking to some of the locals, I got 2 quests, which I will now set out to do. Just outside there was these 2 crackhead vendors, in which I bought a hunting rifle from. I then found this Fens Sheriff Deputy Corpse, which I'm assuming was a part of the mod pack. It had a really cool armor with some decent stats, so I equipped all this. Now that I've got some decent armor and a decent weapon, my first quest was to get some green paint from Hardware Town. As I approached Hardware Town, there was this raider luring me into a trap, so I quickly took care of that.
Do it again! Come on, little girl.
Perfect.
After dealing with the raiders, I used the scraps in the building to upgrade my weapons. I then headed back to Diamond City and delivered the green paint to Abbott, which gave me some more caps and XP. With the level up, I put my point into Idiot Savant to grant me more XP. After this, I headed back to my hotel room to rest up and save the game, had a quick drink, topped up my ammo, and then set out to grab the baseball memorabilia for Mo. This was all pretty straightforward, and I only had to deal with a few minor alerts, which weren't an issue.
That's it. Nice.
On my way back to Diamond City, there was a few raiders lingering outside of Hardware Town, which is where I just cleared, so I quickly took care of them. I then delivered what Mo needed and got another level up.
Those relics.
I like my
The
first name
future
better.
of baseball could depend on them.
I put the point into Rifleman, so I put out more damage with my rifle. I then headed to Valentine Detective Agency to get the quest to save Valentine, in which the secretary pointed me in the right direction, and so I set out to save Valentine. But first I gave Sheffield a quick Nuka-Cola.
Thirsty. Doctor says I can't drink liquor no more. Cola. Need a Nuka-Cola.
Yes.
Nuka-Cola.
Here you go.
Ah, thank you. Thank you.
You're that vault dweller from the paper.
Just outside of Diamond City, there was a little raider outpost. I wanted to quickly clear them to get the XP, ammo and caps. Luckily I pressed VATS here and spotted these landmines, or this could have been the end. With this sniper stealth build at this point, I felt pretty invincible.